Welcome to SVG-TV News and Sports for Friday, August 27th, 2021. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. SVG has recorded 2 new imported cases of the Delta variant. This was announced by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, which stated in a news release that it received a confirmation this morning from the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CAFRA. The ministry said 1 sample was collected during entry screening at the Argyle International Airport from a fully vaccinated traveler who arrived from England with a negative PCR result on August 12th. It said the molecular lab unit of the Ministry of Health subsequently reported on August 12th that the traveler had tested positive. The other sample the ministry said was from a vaccinated traveler who arrived on August 9th and tested positive on August 12th while in quarantine. The ministry said both travelers then transitioned to approved isolation accommodations and have since tested negative for COVID-19, and that routine contact tracing detected 6 other COVID-19 positive cases associated with these travelers. The 2 new positive cases bring to 3 the number of Delta variant cases confirmed in the country thus far. Meanwhile, 3 new COVID-19 positive cases were reported from 219 samples processed on Wednesday, August 25th, resulting in a positivity rate of 1.4%. On Thursday, 2 new positive cases were reported from 293 samples processed, resulting in a positivity rate of 0.7%. 60 new recoveries were noted over the reporting period. 18 cases are currently active and 12 people with COVID-19 have died. SVG has recorded 2,331 cases of COVID-19 and 2,301 recoveries since March 2020. The health authorities say in view of the increased risk of infection and subsequent transmission of COVID-19 posed by the growing incidence of variants of concern in persons entering SVG, and that strict compliance with all protocols and recommendations is strongly recommended. These include the effective use of masks, physical distancing, hand sanitizing, and immunization with available vaccines. The planned industrial action by the Public Service Union and nurses here in SVG for next month will not change the government's policy that mandates COVID-19 vaccine for certain frontline workers if they are to remain in their jobs. On radio this week, Prime Minister Dr. Raul Gonzalez said that he has read that the PSU has the requisite notice under the Essential Services Act that its members will withdraw their services from September 7th to the 10th. However, he noted that the people in the country will not think such a decision is reasonable.
I'm appealing to the nurses and the doctors. I'm appealing to the public servants. I know that I haven't seen the notice yet that the Public Service Union has issued notification under the Essential Services Act. With 14 days notice that they will carry out industrial action. They'll withdraw their services, strike, from the 7th to the 10th, inclusive. No. Okay. What is that intended to achieve? That the government is going to change its position? That you're going to use industrial muscle to defeat right reason and what is in the public interest?
In a press statement on Tuesday, the PSU said that its members voted at an emergency general meeting to take industrial action from September 7th to the 10th in response to the government's amendment of the Public Health Act. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Raul Gonzalez said that he happens to know a lot of farmers and fishers who do not intend to take the vaccine, saying they cannot catch COVID-19 from or pass it on to their produce or catch. He is, however, encouraging these fishers and farmers to take the vaccine.
Because I happen to know a lot of farmers, fisher folk, who who don't have any intention to take the vaccine, you know. Not that they hesitate, they say, boy, I ain't bothering with that because my yam ain't giving me COVID, I ain't giving the yam COVID, and my limited group of friends, you know, they're very small. I'm not. Fisherman said the same thing about the mahi-mahi, not giving him COVID, and mahi-mahi ain't getting COVID, he ain't getting mahi-mahi COVID, and he has a limited range of friends, and he feel that he all right. I'm saying to them that you're mistaken. You're wrong about it. You should take the vaccine. But those same persons tell me when they go to a clinic or when they go to the hospital, they want to know so the doctor who's dealing with them to be vaccinated.
And the Prime Minister noted that one of the major issues discussed at the Cabinet meeting on Wednesday was on finalizing the public health body's special measures 2021. He said as part of the measures, a list has also been put together for all those who will be among the first set of frontline workers required to be vaccinated or leave their jobs.
Issue of frontline employees, that is to say healthcare employees, police officers, prison officers, people who work at the seaports and airports, including customs and immigration, that they be vaccinated. They have a choice. It's perfectly legal, perfectly within the four walls of the Constitution. And what we're doing, you have a choice. You either do it. If you don't want to do it, you work elsewhere. There are persons who say it's not mandatory vaccination, you know, you have a choice. And the laws all throughout the common law jurisdictions, North America, Canada, Britain, United States, Europe, Latin America, Australia, New Zealand, the Caribbean too.
The rules have been drawn up under the amendment to the Public Health Act passed in Parliament on August 5th without support from the opposition. BM Gonzalez further explained why the policy and accompanying law is not mandatory vaccination.
It's mandatory for me to drive, to have a driver's license, drive a motor car. It's mandatory for me to have a insurance on my vehicle. If I don't have an insurance on my vehicle, a valid insurance, I could be sent to jail. I can lose my driver's license. Or you can fine me. In this case, it's a free and democratic world. In the interest of public health, frontline workers, it's happening all over the world. You are asked to take the vaccine. You can take it and stay and work. Or you can get another job by not taking it. There are two exemptions.
The Prime Minister said that the vaccination is an important tool in the toolbox, and while persons claim the law is against their personal liberty, it is important that they get familiar with Section 3 of the Constitution, which speaks on personal liberty.
No person shall be deprived of his personal liberty, save as may be authorized by law in any of the following cases, that is to say, and they have several cases, and the G, for the purpose of preventing the spread of an infectious or contagious disease. There's some constitutions don't have it that specific, you know. Then it goes on in several other sections with this or that freedom to say that that can always be limited if the limitation is required in the interest of that is reasonably required in the interest of public health being one of them, public safety being another, and it is reasonably justifiable in a democratic society. Nobody is saying that somebody is going to hold them down and joke them with a vaccine. Nobody is saying that. That would not be justifiable in a democratic society. But the courts have held the vaccination in relation to COVID all over the world.
The Prime Minister, who is also Minister of Legal Affairs, made mention of Section 13 of the Constitution, which speaks to protection from discrimination on the grounds of race, etc. He noted that it is not a discrimination to require a standard or qualification for a particular job. The Prime Minister further spoke on non-frontline workers where the job does not require vaccination. He said these workers will be required, however, to take a COVID-19 test every 2 weeks.
The way it is done is an employee who, without reasonable excuse, fails to comply with Rule 4 or 5, that is either the vaccination or the test, as the case may be, depending on the category worker, must not enter the workplace and is to be treated as being absent from work. So if you turn up, you wouldn't have anything to do. Nobody would give you anything to do, and the regulation would say, well, you could turn up, but you would be absent from work. And then it would go on to say, an employee absent from work under this sub-rule, or who enters a workplace in contravention of this sub-rule, commits an act of misconduct and is liable to be disciplined in accordance with the Public Service Commission regulations in the case of a public officer, or in relation to other people, if, for instance, was at airports and ports and the like, who are not public officers, in accordance with the relevant laws or customs in the case of every one of these other employees. And these regulations would have a lifespan only for the period of the public health emergency.
The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment today said it is in possession of sufficient doses of COVID-19 vaccines, AstraZeneca, Sputnik V and Pfizer, to vaccinate all those who are eligible for vaccination. In a news release issued on the use of COVID-19 vaccines in the state, the ministry noted that the Pfizer vaccine is now fully approved by the FDA, and approvals for other vaccines may follow in the upcoming months, while SVG has only detected 3 cases of the highly contagious Delta variant of the SARS-CoV-2 virus in quarantine travelers. It is likely that more cases of the variant will be detected. The Ministry of Health advises. Current research has shown that all 3 vaccines available on island are effective in combating the Delta variant. However, persons must be fully vaccinated in order to ensure optimal protection against this variant. Additionally, persons, even when vaccinated, are strongly advised to continue to consistently wear masks, properly wash or sanitize their hands, and approximately a physical distance. The ministry further advises that based on research and guidance, the following should be noted. Persons vaccinated with the Sputnik V vaccine, 1 or 2 doses, wishing to travel to countries that have not yet recognized Sputnik V are advised that the pending emergency use listing of Sputnik V, but the WHO is likely to be addressed by mid-September 2021. If traveler is imminent, however, full vaccination with Pfizer or the AstraZeneca is advised. Persons who have taken 1 dose of the Sputnik vaccine may follow up with a 2nd dose of AstraZeneca or the Pfizer once their 3 weeks have passed since their 1st dose. The ministry said 1st and 2nd doses of AstraZeneca are available at the Community Nursing Service, which will expire at the end of October 2021. The Pfizer vaccine is now available for persons 12 years and older. While it is fully approved for regular use, emergency authorization remains for persons ages 12 to 16. The Pfizer vaccine is said to be available at the Buckerman Polyclinic, the Stubbs Polyclinic, the Georgetown Health Center, the Port Elizabeth Health Center, and the Union Island Health Center. Interested persons are asked to register online or call the nearest vaccination site. The Ministry of Education said it will officially launch its recovery efforts with a virtual event on social media. The ministry said the live broadcast will introduce the public to its 2-year recovery plan, which is expected to help students catch up with learning loss due to the COVID-19 pandemic and the eruption of La Soufrière volcano. According to the ministry, the launching exercise will officially set in motion a number of activities not only geared towards the development of academic skills, but also life skills. Among other concepts, the recovery program will emphasize are special education and disabilities, the idea of learning through play, the relationship among the home, school and community, and the integration of technology in education using apps, websites and games. The ministry said it will also highlight the contribution of partnering agencies like UNICEF, UNESCO, the Global Partnership in Education, GPE and the OECS. The launch will take place on Tuesday, August 31st, beginning at 10 a.m. Since the eruption of La Soufrière volcano, the team at the Belmont Observatory have not been monitoring the volcano with all of its devices, as some were damaged during the explosive phase. Lead scientist monitoring the volcano, Professor Richard Robinson, said attempts were made to reinstall the monitoring device at the summit. However, it has proven to be difficult at this time.
Well, one thing we have concluded from my 2 visits is that it would be extremely dangerous to try to do it on foot, because to get to the station, which is what we were thinking of doing, which is why we pushed to clear the trail so much quickly. To get to it, you'll have to walk to the summit, and then you have to walk around the rim. And that same place, Table Rock, that I was telling you about, you have to usually walk over it. And the way in which Table Rock is now, I don't see, unless you're a mountain climber of some sort, unless you have ropes and you have safety gear, and then you don't have to be carrying kits, any equipment, which is what they will have to do, you can't make that climb.
Professor Robinson noted that helicopter services will have to be utilized to carry out any work at the summit.
Foot can't happen, so we'll have to depend on the helicopter. Right now, we understand that the British military helicopter is supposed to be coming back for 1 day around the beginning of September, and if and when it comes, we will use it to drop in the guys and finish it. So in summary, nothing has moved because we really need a helicopter to get in to do it, because it's simply inaccessible right now, given, in terms of doing it on foot.
Giving an update on activities at the volcano, Professor Robertson said nothing much has changed over the past week.
It's the same trend, a period of unrest in between eruption, and which means that you're having a few small earthquakes. I think the biggest one we had in the last report was a magnitude 2. That was somewhere in the southwest, but you have them. Usually they are too small for people to feel, and they're not very as frequent as it was when we had all that explosive period in the dome building. So activity, mainly in terms of physical activity, continues to be the steaming that people will see from the summit. And when you have heavy rainfalls, you have lahars, which is the material being remobilized. I think one of the most so the activity continues more or less as you've said. One of the interesting things that happened, certainly, and I think we posted a picture on it, was one of the times when during the excessive rain that we had over the last couple of days, and so not yesterday, cleared up yesterday, is the steaming in the valleys itself, certainly on the upper parts of the Wallaboo, Roseau, places like that, places where pyroclastic flows had come down.
Residents in the Grenadines will benefit from improved internet services from telecommunications provider Flow 2 years after the subsea fiber optic cable was laid, linking mainland St. Vincent to the Grenadines. At a news conference today at the Plantation House in Beckway, Flow Country Manager Wayne Hull announced some major upgrades for its customers, which he said will remove them from the microwave technology.
Is a decades-old technology that uses high-frequency radio waves to connect over-the-air sites once they have a line of sight to each other, to transit our traffic, that is our internet, our cable TV, and our fixed voice services. However, sending internet traffic over the air is not as efficient as connecting using fiber. Our customers across the Grenadines can now access all Flow Home services with internet speeds up to 250 megabits per second download. We'll also now be able to offer customers in the Grenadines Flow bundled services, which will include our internet, our cable TV, our fixed voice services, and added to that, discounted mobile postpaid services as well.
A test speed was carried out, which now boasts an average download speed of 255 megabits per second. Final upgrades to Volcano 1 and Myro are expected to be completed in about 3 months' time.
Volcano 1 already experiencing an upgrade. However, Volcano 1 cable TV services, we need to do some work there, purchase some additional equipment, do some on-island work to get the cable TV services back up and running. On Myro, there is not a direct connection from the subsea onto Myro. So we have to do some additional upgrades on Myro that is separate from this work. Meaning we have to purchase additional equipment, right? So that work is ongoing over the next 3 months.
A number of giveaways and promotions accompany the upgrades to Bequia and Union Island. With the upgrades, hotels are expected to improve with faster internet speed for customers. Flow customers are being encouraged to make use of its customer service if there is any problem with services.
If you're experiencing a challenge, right, you should try and channel your fault through an official source so that we can address the problem. We find too often customers do not channel their complaints and the issue do not get addressed. So my encouragement is to everyone is to use our official source, our social media pages, our contact centers to report your issues and we will get it resolved.
Aside from us giving you more speed, we have some really fantastic offers, and as a full service provider, we can leverage the benefits that the customers will get based on the services that you have. So let's start at the very beginning. So we have our standalone broadband package, and that starts at 50 megs. So download of 50 megs. So if you're doing your speed test, so Nikela will show you shortly how to complete your speed test. And if you do it and you're getting less than 50, we have a problem.